Sehr schön, dass Sie alle da geblieben sind, dass ihr alle da geblieben sind. Mein Name ist Dafne-Maria Fiedler. Ich freue mich jetzt durch dieses Panel durchführen zu dürfen. And I'm really glad to welcome all the three of you. And my name is Daphne, by the way. We didn't have time to meet before. Nice to meet you. Great to have you here. Everybody, es versteht hier jeder Englisch. Ja? Good. Okay, so maybe we just we do the main part in English. So I hope I will survive. But maybe first, start. So everybody knows Rico Herre is the director of IMPURE. Then we have Toby Schmutzler. They're the director of NAWI. Who have seen the NAWI? Sorry, who have seen the film NAWI? Who's here as well? Yeah, some people saw it. That's great. And maybe you like to introduce Naisula because she's a guest of hers. You're coming here together. You came here together. Maybe you can introduce her with some words.
I can try.
Yes, you can try.
Better get it right.
So Naisula executed the first test screening in Samburu, which is originally her home region in northern Kenya, and with 600 kids, mixed boys and girls. This was when post-production was almost to a close. We were still in sound mixing, but yeah, so we just wanted to create some data. How does the film impact students in the classroom? And we were blown away actually. So especially from the feedback from the boys, we can go later into this. But this is when I met Naisula, and it clicked very fast, and she became the social impact advisor or consultant for IMPURE. It's for 1 year now. We travel together to many places whenever it's possible. But yeah. But I would like her to introduce herself from her point of view.
Hello everyone. The mic is not on? Hello everyone. Okay, that works. Hello. So lovely to see you all here. I have a confession because I feel like I'm out of my depth here. I am not a filmmaker. I don't speak German, so just bear with me that we're going to go. I think we're going to shift between English and German. I can follow conversation, but it's really basic German. I can order coffee, and then they change immediately into like, can you speak English? So, yeah, as Rico said, I'm a gender expert. So I primarily work with the Global Center for Gender Equality in the States, but I also consult, and we have been working with Rico trying to figure out how can we utilize this film in education, how can we try to measure it or put it in like package it in a way that it can be used by practitioners. And yeah, so that's how we've met, and that's how we've been working together. So yeah.
Both stories we have seen are based on true stories, also your story. And I read that there was also your story was inspired because there was a competition, a writing competition. And were there all true stories, or how? Maybe you can share a little bit how let's say how the NAWI story found you and inspired you to make the film.
Maybe to kind of tell everyone what this film is about who have not been here. It's about child marriage. So it's also not a fun film, it's a drama. And it's also in the field of girl empowerment. So I believe this is why the constellation on stage is the way it is. And NAWI is based on the true story of the writer's sister who won a writing competition that has been held by an NGO in Kenya called Learning Lines. And so she basically handed in a story that's based on her sister's true story. So, and a lot of the submissions that we received from Kenya, but also from the neighboring countries, were about coming of age. So it was always about like breaking with traditions, challenging the ways that things have been done before. So it was from girls and boys, a lot of like clashing with traditions. So yeah, a lot of true stories.
Because the panel is about social impact filming, was it just clear for you when you started that this will be a film about social impact or with social impact, or was it in the beginning just the idea you wanted to give
my brother and I, we have a social impact film company, so that's what we do since 10 years. So that's also how we came to this Kenyan project, because I'm not from Kenya. Before that, I didn't have any connection to Kenya until this NGO approached us to make a movie together with their students, because they are an educational NGO. They teach people in northern Kenya digital skills like design, programming, filmmaking, and that's where we came in. And originally it was the social impact of this project was an educational project, like a hands-on filmmaking course. While making a feature film, the students should learn like the different departments, and that's what we did. And but now, due to the nature of the story below that, like the child marriage story, it has become much more over the years.
And because it's a difficult topic, was it kind of easier to get money for it, to be supported because it's an actual, or it was the opposite, so it was more difficult to find partners and everything?
So we didn't get any German funding because it's no German language movie, so all of this is kind of querfinanziert. It's like it's equity, basically, from people who you knew from projects before who kind of believed in this one as well.
I think it's maybe similar with your film. So maybe we can, you can jump in here and share a little bit how the story of June found you. So because also we saw it at the end, it was based, and you said it before, there are a lot of other girls who have this experience, but maybe you can share a little bit about your personal journey to this.
So,
es ist schon an eigentlich, aber egal.
Yes, but it's very low. So, no, it was 2019. It was clear that me and my production partner, NDOP, we wanted to shoot something in Kenya. So Kenya was clear, but the story was missing. And then I stumbled across an article in the New York Post about exactly that incident. And it hit home for me, it shocked me, and left me with a lot of questions. So I thought that would be actually interesting for a film, because after my research I saw that there are actually no films about this topic. There is, of course there are documentaries, news articles, and there is also one fictional feature film from India called Batman, but even this is a Bollywood film with a man in the center saving the day for the women. So, and I thought, what about the perspective from the affected girl? So IMPURE is the very first feature film ever where you see it from the perspective of the girl. And I think this angle is very important, because what we found out also through classroom screenings, kids can click with June, they can relate and identify with that POV character. And it wasn't surprising that many times, especially girls came to us and say, this is me, or I experienced something similar.
So you're showing these films in schools and you have a discussion afterwards, or what happens? So what is the work with this?
So yeah, definitely. So there is, of course, on the one hand you have like a discussion guide, you know, and you ask to the teacher. Of course, someone is trained and will ask them. For example, let's say if you would be in that classroom, how would you react? What would you do? And of course, many of of these, and they say, of course, I would help her, I would guide her out to the room, I would explain to her or something, or I would use my sweater and pyjama. I have, maybe that's interesting, I prepared something. Of course, I can tell you how the impact is in the classroom, but maybe we should let the kids speak for themselves.
Ich halte es mal kurz.
Thank you. So maybe we can let the kids speak for themselves.
Okay,
so
great.
We have all the questionnaires,
Yeah.
and we ask them just basic questions.
Okay.
And so this, for example, it's from a boy, from an 18-year-old boy, from the test screening in Sapporo, and he said, the movie had really helped me to understand about menstruation, which girls are undergoing. Now I am going really to understand the normal thing in girls, and I will go back taking care and support my young sisters, and being the family pillar as a man. The movie has helped me to understand and not to be proud when girls are facing these struggles. I would like to thank for those who have taken part in the making of this film, and I am so proud it has changed me. And it goes on and on. So we also have a girl, 15, from Corner. This movie changed my life. We have boys saying, I will never laugh at a girl again.
Oh, wow.
And we saw this in every single screening.
Yeah.
A girl, for example, also said, now she doesn't have to be afraid anymore. I mean, this movie, for some reason, broke something up. It was always a conversation starter. You saw people standing up in the room, talking about their own personal experiences.
So
very intimate things.
it opens doors for the people to speak out loud and to share.
It made people come out and say, I don't know, about, we had a lady talking about endometriosis, her struggle with it, which is a very painful
Disease.
Yeah, it's a disease actually. And she said, I never talked to this about this, even not even with my boyfriend at home. So she spoke up in front of everyone in the room. We experienced this in almost every screening. This is amazing.
Tobias, how is it with your film? I think you also, how are the reactions and which discussions are starting from there, or conversations, sharings?
So I think I would differentiate between the two audiences the film has. This is the audience on the ground in Kenya and the international audience. And these are also leading to two different forms of impact or change. For example, the international audience, ranging from events like today to, for example, was it 3 weeks ago at the UN General Assembly, we had a screening. We had screenings like in the Oscar race in like all around the world, basically, in film festivals. And the cool thing is that no matter the culture, the people, the audience is, they still understand the story, they still understand the struggle, and they still understand that this is not a exclusive Kenyan problem, that this is like a wider thing.
Yeah.
So this is actually very nice, and obviously people are crying after this movie, some of them, so it's not like a cheerful, like when I have Q&As like this, it's not always a cheerful thing, but you can feel that people are kind of invested, and in that moment at least want to know more or want to change something, and that's quite a good feeling. And on the ground, it's a slightly different story because we have school screenings. The film is it's incorporated in the curriculum in Nairobi, like in schools, and the young people are very much in favor of the message it transports, like you should stand up against these traditions, you should reflect. And then we also have like a cinema truck that goes around Kenya, so it's like a cinema under the stars. It goes from village to village, and then the people come together, and obviously it's a very special thing to watch a movie all together, and obviously also the men in this community. And they stay until the end, they watch through it, and like for 90 minutes, they have no other choice than to put themselves in the perspective of their daughters,
Yeah.
which they would marry off. And then afterwards, there's obviously discussions, and we've had quite similar experiences of people coming up, not to us, like it's a Kenyan team on the ground, obviously, because we would be the wrong people to do it. But they're coming up to them and say, okay, I married off my first daughter, but I'm not going to do it with my second one, and I'm going to check on that, which is traditionally not a thing that you would do. They check on their daughters that they have married off, so that's quite cool. So on the international side, there's like money being triggered and like a lot of attention being brought, but on the grassroots side, you have these personal small changes, and that's quite cool that it kind of works for both audiences.
So you really give great impulses for small but big changes, I think, so with your films. So
I think every big change is like a lot of small changes.
yeah, that's great. Are there just questions or comments from the audience you can think about? But you are really invited. Ihr könnt sie dann auch auf Deutsch stellen, die Fragen. Das ist überhaupt kein Problem. Aber wenn ihr Fragen habt, bitte einfach melden. Ich kriege das dann mit. Naisula, what was your... I want to start the question in another mood. I read that you're founder of a network system which is called Big Sis, Small Sis. Maybe you can share a little bit also about this, because when I read about it, it seemed that this also has to do with all the topics we heard about and saw here also in the films, or am I totally wrong?
No.
Okay. We just share this microphone.
We'll just share this. If you can allow me, I'll just add what Toby has said, that there's also another layer of social impact that it has, and I think that is for policymakers. I think those people that make policies, or those that are decision makers, we know very well that women issues are not well represented. But when they watch this, then they are able to go back in the parliament or wherever floor they are and discuss about resource allocation to issues like menstrual product, to issues like child protection. So I think there is the just social context itself, that it changes the conversation from individual level and the community, but also it has the ability to bring in policymakers who are often very, very disconnected. And your question about Big Sisters, So this started, I was in a cafe somewhere in Berlin, and I saw the news like from the Kenya Demographic Survey, which showed that 50% of the girls dropped out of school in 2022. And this was quite shocking, because if you zoom in, you see that it was actually... I come from not so far from where Tobias did, so when shoot the film, but when you zoom so far, you can actually see which schools were affected. And I called the school register, and I was like, this is one of my schools. Can we please have a look and see what's happening? You can't have 100 girls go to school, 50 of them dropping out, and we think that is normal. And we started looking at the register, and we found that girls' attendance rates just go up and down until they drop. They're left behind. And we started talking to the girls in school, and at that point, I think you also know, because you were probably shooting in Kenya at that point, there was really main droughts, like really, really big drought. And when people lack, especially pastoralist community, when they lack, they can't put enough food on the table, the first thing that goes off the table is sanitary pads. And I think that's, it was the same thing we had in Romania. Not poverty, not pastoralist, but just poverty rate affects access to menstrual product. And we thought this is one of the low-lying fruits that we can somehow solve. And that's where we started Big Sister for Small Sister. And all the schools that were affected in that region, we ensured that we distributed menstrual kits for them. And the reusable menstrual kits that would last for 2 years. And I still follow up the school attendance, and you can see that the school attendance is stabilizing it might not be from that specific project, it could be like all the other factors still, but at least that has been resolved. And that's how, when I met Rico contacted me when we were doing the distribution, and it was just a perfect timing because the teachers also asked me, could you please also speak about menstruation to them? And I was like, well, I don't have a lot of background on this topic. And it was very awkward at first. But once we popped in IMPURE and we watched together, then we had a really nice discussion afterwards. Yeah.
Great. Are there questions? No? Shy audience. It's okay. Please.
I just wanted to know.
Do we have a microphone?
We have a microphone?
Maybe Alex?
Yeah. Muss ja niemand schreiben.
Nee.
Hi. Yes, I just wanted to ask, did you have a casting to find IMPURE, the lady the young girl who's playing, is acting as IMPURE? Were there any casting there? Because I think she's fabulous.
Great question. I'm also really curious about the cast of both films. I know someone.
You know, it's a hit and miss. There's a hit and miss element in every film. Mm-hmm. You know, either it's visual effects or a certain location or whatever. But in this case, it was the leading wall. If this wall wouldn't have worked, everything would have fallen apart.
Yes.
To your question, everyone in the cast was first timer. These were all amateur actors doing it for the first time. So we had a casting director, he's from Kinango, where we shot in Kwale County, it's at the coast of Kenya, south of Mombasa. And he trained some of them for school stage plays. So this was their only experience. Mm-hmm. They asked him, do you think you might have some of your students to be ready to go in front of the camera and doing drama? He said, we can try. So I sent him the character descriptions, and so I made him aware, this is challenging, we are not playing here, this is a serious topic, and we really want to make it with conviction. And Eunice Rohrer, who is fantastic in the film, it's a very brave performance. She was 13 years old during the shoot. So just imagine at this age, and she's actually a natural shy privately, so she had to expose herself and actually strip away all her
shyness.
And but she absolutely delivered, and it's not hard to connect with her. It's actually pretty easy. So yeah, this is the answer.
Maybe Tobias, for those who have seen the film, it's interesting, but also maybe you will see the film in the future. Your main actress, she also got an award, I read, and maybe you can share a little bit, because she's also really marvelous in this.
I'll pass it on. She got quite a few awards, actually. Maybe the most prestigious one is the African Movie Award, which is like the Europäische Filmpreis. Pendant for Best Upcoming Actress. So she's she's really, really good. She's the first timer as well.
Yeah.
And also the other kids that we have in the movie.
The brother as well, yeah. And they're also great. Yes.
Yeah, but I can only underline what Rico said. Like in Kenya, the kids are educated in a way that when adults are in the room, they're very respectful, very shy.
Stepping back.
In a way, that's at least what I experienced. And so we had an acting coach from Kenya who worked with them like for 2 weeks and really made them open up and made them prepare them for the situation that when you're on set and there's like 40 people standing around you and you have to know your lines and you have to act, and then they really, really did well. And we thought, yeah, we like everyone else is like the adults in the movie are professional actors, and we had said, okay, we need them because then the kids can kind of lean on them in scenes and stuff. But in the end, it was the other way around. Like Michelle was carrying the scenes, like Michelle is the main actress, and like everyone else was just like trying to keep up. So we found her through in a school actually. So we went through the region of Turkana, which is in northern Kenya, and we had like, I think I said this before in the Q&A, so we had like school castings and then recalls, but when we met Michelle for the first time, even she was already quite high up on our favorite list.
And I'm curious because also the topics are so real also for them. Have there been in both shootings? Have there been also discussions, conversations, dialogues with the actors who are like non-professionals, playing more or less their own history, even if it's not really a personal experience? How was this?
I think that's the reason why they are so good, because they just know, or at least in our case, Michelle knows, has friends who have been married off in her age. So she knows how they behave, how they feel, and that's where she obviously draws from. And that's why it's so much stronger than acting, because it's just like kind of reliving the experience of her close friends.
And sorry, I have one question because I'm really curious. No, but because the story, because you said it's inspired by the sister of the writer, so it was really the same there, that the sister ran away and came back and gave more or less her life for the life of her little sister, or?
So the true story is that her sister ran out, so she was married off, and then she ran away, and there even was this like spring flood scene where she kind of tries to cross the river, she hid in a church, so a lot of these elements are actually like one to one true. The end, that she sacrifices herself for her sister, that's actually borrowed from another submission of the writing competition, so we kind of mixed realities there. So that's not 100% her sister's story, but like a lot of the film is
aligned. Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe you can, now it's a good moment to, yes, maybe you can share something about the first question.
Our approach was, we wanted to have it really authentic. It should almost feel like reality, like you're watching a documentary, but in nice pictures. But it's really tough if you think about it, because everything was scripted and rehearsed and acted and staged. So on set, everything is very technical. As you said, you have a team of 30 people around you. Everyone is watching you. And you have to deliver because you have a very tight schedule. Then in Kenya, Wayne just comes. All of a sudden, then you have challenges to solve. Every day is about solving problems, actually. It's not just we meet there with the camera, we have fun. This is not filmmaking. Filmmaking is trying to get problems solved and try to deliver a very good result in the end to the team. So, like Tobias said, it's true. So we also have the same thing on set, that everyone was aware that this issue is a thing that even affects their community. I know from Eunice that she was never affected by it. So she didn't call me back then, but she is 19 now. So now we have a much closer bond and we can talk back at us nowadays. So not her, but she also knows classmates who went to, who were stigmatized or had to face ridicule. So she could also draw a bit from that for her performance.
Questions from the audience? Yes, please.
One question to both of you. Was it easy to get the permission of the parents for shooting, so to say, about this taboo?
Maybe you can start. Very simple, yes. Because there's so much talent in Kenya. Everyone, I could have had the same story said in, let's say, in Bombay County, for example, or in Tana River County, or in Kisumu. I'm pretty 100% sure we would have found talent that would have delivered in the same way, because there are so many raw diamonds. Everyone knows that not everyone will have this chance. So you don't have to convince them, you don't have to convince the parents, and of course there was also a salary involved. Of course they say yes. But in our case it was also true, the parents loved the script, they said it's an important topic that you're doing there. So
important to tell the story. Right. What about
for
you?
us it was similar in a way. So first we had to explain the dimension of the project, because it's not like in Turkana, not every day a film is shot. So you have to kind of try to explain what's the result and why this is important. And for example, from Michelle's parents, her dad is in politics. He's working in the health ministry, so he's kind of, let's say, there's many different layers to men in this area. So not everyone marries their daughter off. Like a lot of them will, but not everyone. And so, being quite educated as a father, he was like, okay, I understand this and I'm in favor of it.
Any more questions? Yes, please.
And the mom.
Now the questions are coming, so we need the microphone again.
Thank you so much for your films. I haven't actually seen your film at the beginning, I mean the first one, but the second one, thank you so much. Actually, I have a question regarding how did you talk as a man, especially who did not have much relation to Kenya before, talk with these young actresses, how do they have to act in the film? And also at the same time, I was wondering if you guys had any like awareness team or therapist, because this acting in such films also could be also traumatizing from time to time. So I was just wondering if you guys had anything like that for the actresses.
Was it to both of us?
Yeah, but I haven't seen your film. But since you said that it was quite like not a happy film, so I kind of assumed that.
So no, there was no therapist necessary. Of course, at the end of the shooting day, you let everything sink in. On set, everything is technical. You go shot for shot, and you try to get it right. Everyone's focused. No, but of course we talk afterwards. Like I said, I had a very cool woman with me. She's also co-producer. She did makeup, costume, everything, and she was like there's a new term called sensitivity supervisor.
Yeah. Ich weiß, du meinst intimacy coach.
Intimacy coordinator. So of course I directed. I went in with very intimate scenes and emotional scenes. And I went with her, of course, I explained to her, look, this happened before, this will happen after, and we went through technical and so then I left, and instead of just starting to roll camera, I sent Beraterin to talk to her also as a woman, so that she has her safe space to know that it's a common issue. And in our case with IMPURE, the problem is this stigma is it's man-made.
Yes, because
it's the result from patriarchy, from
they are judging it. They are doing the rules, but the same there. So
the rules, they are still the gatekeepers even today in many countries. So if we can contribute and send a signal against that and say, look, we heard and we understood, and we are also willing to set something against it and say, look, it's not everyone. We want to be part of the change.
I love the sign you're giving. So.
For us, it's a bit different because my brother and I, we co-direct. We're two white men, and at one point in the project, we said, okay, we can't do this film, we can't direct it, it's not right. And then the Kenyan producers actually came up with the idea, let's get you two ladies, co-directors. We were a directing team of 4 people, which is quite uncommon. And obviously that helped us a lot, because for one, I don't know how you did it with the Swahili dialogue. I don't speak Swahili, so we needed their support, especially for leading actors, for dialogue coaching, and everything that's cultural obviously has to go through the real lens and not like our European lens, and the female topics as well. So Kev and I, we leaned heavily on Apu and Valentine, that's the name of our Kenyan co-directors, who can't be here unfortunately, otherwise this panel would look a lot different. If you would see the whole teams behind the films, this panel would look a lot different. And we, for the delicate scenes, we had an intimacy coach actually on set, because, and there was huge discussions to, like at the end of the film there's a scene where the husband, where she's alone with the husband in the manyata, in the hut, and there was a lot of discussions of how many layers of clothes is she allowed to take off even if we don't show anything, and so that was like handled with a lot of care.
We have 3 minutes now? Okay, I saw there's another question. Maybe you can save this for the get together later on, or is there one? There was one last question? Okay, because I have a final question as well. Ja. Wir müssen dann gleich raus, aber wir werden das sanft ausdehnen.
Everyone out. No.
Hi. First of all, I want to say thank you for all three of you for doing the work for people who are stigmatized to be seen. But not only to be seen is important, but also to be understood, especially like you said, by the lawmakers, and especially if you want to change what has been a product of patriarchy. So I wanted to ask, how easy or how hard was it to show the movie to the people that need to make those changes in the law area in order to have the change for the women suffering from the stigma?
Thank you for the question. It wasn't hard. For example, one of our biggest milestones this year was I was invited with IMPURE to New York City, to United Nations. We had a North American premiere at UNICEF House.
Oh, wow.
So this film makes a huge impact right now in the watch sector. Everyone tries to be part of it. UNFPA, Days for Girls, Gates Foundation, and UN Women, of course, many more. So this is what we try to leverage for our social impact.
Same. No, like internationally, it's pretty much the same, even the same organizations. That's weird.
Yeah.
But maybe on the ground in Kenya, what we experienced is that politicians, when we had our Kenyan premiere in Nairobi, actually, like the politicians take over. They kind of use the film to kind of profilieren themselves in a way. So actually, and I think the decision by, I don't know if you know how the Oscar race works, but the decision by basically the Kenyan government, so the Film Commission of Kenya, to put this film with this topic on an international stage, and I kind of acknowledge that there's like dark spots in how laws are durchgesetzt.
I don't know.
How laws are enforced to kind of like show that to the world and show that issue of, in our case, child marriage. I think that's quite a strong signal by politics.
So, because we have to finish, I have one final question for all the three of you. Maybe you can share your personal vision of what maybe both of you, what the directors, which kind of stories you still would love to tell, and what is your vision with social impact filming, and what is your vision? What is your dream? That's because also your film, in the real world, there was a bad endings, and you decided to finish the film with a hope and with a view in the future. So maybe you can share a little bit your personal.
Absolutely.
inputs.
So, one of the first decisions I made was because it was so fresh, I wanted to keep a respectful distance to parents. But I also wanted to do a film that is, I mean, you have the in memoriam in the end.
Yes.
It's hint enough to say, look, it happened in this, and I don't want to torture the audience with the kid's suicide. Instead, I tried to do a disastrous event to try to turn it into a teachable one. And this is what we are trying to do. So, like I said, the momentum of this film is not gone. We're actually just launching. This is still a launch. And in terms of social impact, we want to bring this film in classrooms all around the world because we believe in the mind-changing force and strength of this film to inspire, to educate, and to change. Yeah.
Honestly, I think this film can have also impact to European countries, because I think it's a topic where also
Absolutely.
in every country it's not.
Maybe I can say it right. On Monday we have a school screen here in Berlin with TERRE DES FEMMES, also with Naisula. So it's great to have you also around there. It will be very interesting to see how the film impacts German kids.
Are reacting, and
I want to say something else, but maybe I'm like my brain is melting.
I think for a long time there has been like a bit of distance between like the filmmakers and social policies or decision makers, and I feel that through social impact filmmaking there is a little bit much more connection coming. I think this hybrid space that like producers and film live on, that is like based on realism and imagination, which is able to reach so much farther than what we do as research or data can be able to reach. And I think this closeness is coming together, and I can see this through IMPURE now. They are seeing it as a tool, as an ally that they can string along when they're talking about menstrual education. And I think the same when they are talking about like child marriages, something they can bring along to expand conversation and have much more expanded public engagement, because we just don't need, I think we need to, I don't know what Rico and Tobias, what their intention idea was when they were starting to do the film, but I think this line between storytelling and activism is quite important, and I think we cannot underestimate just how valuable it can be.
I keep it very short, because I think we have to run out. These films are just emotional bait for a discussion that comes afterwards. That's what they're for. They're not the discussion themselves, they're just the bait. And let's discuss outside.
So thank you for being here. Thank you for having this film.